But then it is the things. Ira, jabona, abo ira.
Launching a startup is like preparing a rocket for space. You've got the vision, the crew, and the mission. But without enough fuel, you're not getting off the ground. That fuel is cloud infrastructure, data storage, and AI capabilities. That's where Development Hub comes in to assist you with the AWS funding and incentives opportunities, offering credits to cover services like storage, compute, and networking, plus technical support and training to keep your startup soaring. Development Hub, as an accredited AWS partner, simplifies the process. We help you apply, redeem credits, and unlock every benefit tailored for your growth and success. Let Development Hub be your cloud-powered co-pilot. Book a session with us, and let's get you started. They say if your application is up and running in the cloud, it must be good enough. But surviving is not the same as thriving, especially in the cloud, because without the right foundation, even the most brilliant cloud solutions can fall short, leaving you vulnerable, unstable, and overwhelmed. That's where Development Hub comes in, to help you build better in the cloud with the AWS Foundational Technical Review, a powerful framework designed to help you build secure, reliable, scalable, and market-ready solutions in the cloud. So how exactly does it work? FTR ensures your architecture aligns with AWS best practices across security, reliability, and operational excellence, making your product launch-ready and enterprise-trusted. Development Hub simplifies the FTR process for you. From gap analysis and architectural guidance to hands-on support, DevHub helps you clear every checkpoint with confidence through the three key pillars. The security pillar lets you safeguard your architecture with strong identity management, data protection, and threat detection. The reliability pillar lets you ensure your workloads recover quickly from failures and scale to meet demand, because downtime is not an option. Streamline operations with monitoring, automation, and continuous improvement, so your team works smarter, not harder, with the operational excellence pillar. By aligning with FTR, Development Hub helps you unlock faster time to market, better customer trust, and eligibility for AWS funding programs and co-selling opportunities. Let Development Hub be your trusted partner throughout the process. Book a session today. Building in the cloud? Make sure your environment is secure, high-performing, resilient, and efficient with the AWS Well-Architected Review. Designed for cloud architects and engineers, WAR helps you assess and improve your cloud infrastructure using 6 key pillars. Optimize workflows and automate processes for seamless cloud operations with operational excellence. Protect your data, systems, and assets while ensuring compliance. Build systems that can withstand failures and recover automatically. Select the right resources to maximize speed and efficiency. Eliminate unnecessary expenses and maximize cloud investment. Reduce environmental impact with responsible cloud practices. By leveraging WAR, you can identify and save 30 to 50% on AWS spend, right-size resources and implement best practices, leverage AWS funding programs for optimization, improve performance and scalability while reducing waste, enhance cost visibility and forecasting to prevent budget overruns. Ready to enhance your cloud environment? Book a session with Development Hub for expert assistance in navigating the AWS framework. Launching your app into the market shouldn't feel like flying blind, especially when there's Development Hub at your disposal. Introducing AWS Marketplace, your go-to-market accelerator built to help application owners scale, sell, and succeed. You probably wonder how this works. Well, think of AWS Marketplace as your runway to scale and Development Hub as your control tower. AWS Marketplace gives you access to millions of AWS customers and makes it easier to sell, deploy, and scale your cloud-based applications globally, faster than ever before. At Development Hub, we guide application owners like you through every step, from optimizing your product listing to navigating AWS terms and setting up seamless billing integration. The result? faster go-to-market, increased visibility, and simplified procurement for your customers. Development Hub has helped many organizations meet their business digital enablement goals. Reach out to us for professional assistance in navigating the AWS marketplace. Launching a startup is like preparing a rocket for space. You've got the vision, the crew, and the mission. But without enough fuel, you're not getting off the ground. That fuel is cloud infrastructure, data storage, and AI capabilities. That's where Development Hub comes in, to assist you with the AWS funding and incentives opportunities, offering credits to cover services like storage, compute, and networking, plus technical support and training to keep your startup soaring. Development Hub, as an accredited AWS partner, simplifies the process. We help you apply, redeem credits, and unlock every benefit tailored for your growth and success. Let Development Hub be your cloud-powered co-pilot. Book a session with us, and let's get you started. They say if your application is up and running in the cloud, it must be good enough. But surviving is not the same as thriving, especially in the cloud, because without the right foundation, even the most brilliant cloud solutions can fall short, leaving you vulnerable, unstable, and overwhelmed. That's where Development Hub comes in, to help you build better in the cloud with the AWS Foundational Technical Review, a powerful framework designed to help you build secure, reliable, scalable, and market-ready solutions in the cloud. So how exactly does it work? FTR ensures your architecture aligns with AWS best practices across security, reliability, and operational excellence, making your product launch-ready and enterprise-trusted. Development Hub simplifies the FTR process for you. From gap analysis and architectural guidance to hands-on support, DevHub helps you clear every checkpoint with confidence through the three key pillars. The security pillar lets you safeguard your architecture with strong identity management, data protection, and threat detection. The reliability pillar lets you ensure your workloads recover quickly from failures and scale to meet demand, because downtime is not an option. Streamline operations with monitoring, automation, and continuous improvement, so your team works smarter, not harder, with the operational excellence pillar. By aligning with FTR, Development Hub helps you unlock faster time to market, better customer trust, and eligibility for AWS funding programs and co-selling opportunities. Let Development Hub be your trusted partner throughout the process. Book a session today. Building in the cloud? Make sure your environment is secure, high-performing, resilient, and efficient with the AWS Well-Architected Review. Designed for cloud architects and engineers, WAR helps you assess and improve your cloud infrastructure using 6 key pillars. Optimize workflows and automate processes for seamless cloud operations with operational excellence. Protect your data, systems, and assets while ensuring compliance. Build systems that can withstand failures and recover automatically. Select the right resources to maximize speed and efficiency. Eliminate unnecessary expenses and maximize cloud investment. Reduce environmental impact with responsible cloud practices. By leveraging WAR, you can identify and save 30 to 50% on AWS spend, right-size resources and implement best practices, leverage AWS funding programs for optimization, improve performance and scalability while reducing waste, enhance cost visibility and forecasting to prevent budget overruns. Ready to enhance your cloud environment? Book a session with Development Hub for expert assistance in navigating the AWS framework. Launching your app into the market shouldn't feel like flying blind, especially when there's Development Hub at your disposal. Introducing AWS Marketplace, your go-to-market accelerator built to help application owners scale, sell, and succeed. You probably wonder how this works. Well, think of AWS Marketplace as your runway to scale and Development Hub as your control tower. AWS Marketplace gives you access to millions of AWS customers and makes it easier to sell, deploy, and scale your cloud-based applications globally, faster than ever before. At Development Hub, we guide application owners like you through every step, from optimizing your product listing to navigating AWS terms and setting up seamless billing integration. The result? Faster go-to-market, increased visibility, and simplified procurement for your customers. Development Hub has helped many organizations meet their business digital enablement goals. Reach out to us for professional assistance in navigating the AWS marketplace. Launching a startup is like preparing a rocket for space. You've got the vision, the crew, and the mission. But without enough fuel, you're not getting off the ground. That fuel is cloud infrastructure, data storage, and AI capabilities. That's where Development Hub comes in, to assist you with the AWS funding and incentives opportunities, offering credits to cover services like storage, compute, and networking, plus technical support and training to keep your startup soaring. Development Hub, as an accredited AWS partner, simplifies the process. We help you apply, redeem credits, and unlock every benefit tailored for your growth and success. Let Development Hub be your cloud-powered co-pilot. Book a session with us, and let's get you started. They say if your application is up and running in the cloud, it must be good enough. But surviving is not the same as thriving, especially in the cloud, because without the right foundation, even the most brilliant cloud solutions can fall short, leaving you vulnerable, unstable, and overwhelmed. That's where Development Hub comes in, to help you build better in the cloud with the AWS Foundational Technical Review, a powerful framework designed to help you build secure, reliable, scalable, and market-ready solutions in the cloud. So how exactly does it work? FTR ensures your architecture aligns with AWS best practices across security, reliability, and operational excellence, making your product launch-ready and enterprise-trusted. Development Hub simplifies the FTR process for you. From gap analysis and architectural guidance to hands-on support, DevHub helps you clear every checkpoint with confidence through the three key pillars. The security pillar lets you safeguard your architecture with strong identity management, data protection, and threat detection. The reliability pillar lets you ensure your workloads recover quickly from failures and scale to meet demand, because downtime is not an option. Streamline operations with monitoring, automation, and continuous improvement, so your team works smarter, not harder, with the operational excellence pillar. By aligning with FTR, Development Hub helps you unlock faster time to market, better customer trust, and eligibility for AWS funding programs and co-selling opportunities. Let Development Hub be your trusted partner throughout the process. Book a session today. Building in the cloud? Make sure your environment is secure, high-performing, resilient, and efficient with the AWS Well-Architected Review. Designed for cloud architects and engineers, WAR helps you assess and improve your cloud infrastructure using 6 key pillars. Optimize workflows and automate processes for seamless cloud operations with operational excellence. Protect your data, systems, and assets while ensuring compliance. Build systems that can withstand failures and recover automatically. Select the right resources to maximize speed and efficiency. Eliminate unnecessary expenses and maximize cloud investment. Reduce environmental impact with responsible cloud practices. By leveraging WAR, you can identify and save 30 to 50% on AWS spend, right-size resources and implement best practices, leverage AWS funding programs for optimization, improve performance and scalability while reducing waste, enhance cost visibility and forecasting to prevent budget overruns. Ready to enhance your cloud environment? Book a session with Development Hub for expert assistance in navigating the AWS framework. Launching your app into the market shouldn't feel like flying blind, especially when there's Development Hub at your disposal. Introducing AWS Marketplace, your go-to-market accelerator built to help application owners scale, sell, and succeed. You probably wonder how this works. Well, think of AWS Marketplace as your runway to scale and Development Hub as your control tower. AWS Marketplace gives you access to millions of AWS customers and makes it easier to sell, deploy, and scale your cloud-based applications globally, faster than ever before. At Development Hub, we guide application owners like you through every step, from optimizing your product listing to navigating AWS terms and setting up seamless billing integration. The result? Faster go-to-market, increased visibility, and simplified procurement for your customers. Development Hub has helped many organizations meet their business digital enablement goals. Reach out to us for professional assistance in navigating the AWS marketplace. Launching a startup is like preparing a rocket for space. You've got the vision, the crew, and the mission. But without enough fuel, you're not getting off the ground. That fuel is cloud infrastructure, data storage, and AI capabilities. That's where Development Hub comes in, to assist you with the AWS funding and incentives opportunities, offering credits to cover services like storage, compute, and networking, plus technical support and training to keep your startup soaring. Development Hub, as an accredited AWS partner, simplifies the process. We help you apply, redeem credits, and unlock every benefit tailored for your growth and success. Let Development Hub be your cloud-powered co-pilot. Book a session with us, and let's get you started. They say if your application is up and running in the cloud, it must be good enough. But surviving is not the same as thriving, especially in the cloud, because without the right foundation, even the most brilliant cloud solutions can fall short, leaving you vulnerable, unstable, and overwhelmed. That's where Development Hub comes in, to help you build better in the cloud with the AWS Foundational Technical Review, a powerful framework designed to help you build secure, reliable, scalable, and market-ready solutions in the cloud. So how exactly does it work? FTR ensures your architecture aligns with AWS best practices across security, reliability, and operational excellence, making your product launch-ready and enterprise-trusted. Development Hub simplifies the FTR process for you. From gap analysis and architectural guidance to hands-on support, DevHub helps you clear every checkpoint with confidence through the three key pillars. The security pillar lets you safeguard your architecture with strong identity management, data protection, and threat detection. The reliability pillar lets you ensure your workloads recover quickly from failures and scale to meet demand, because downtime is not an option. Streamline operations with monitoring, automation, and continuous improvement, so your team works smarter, not harder, with the operational excellence pillar. By aligning with FTR, Development Hub helps you unlock faster time to market, better customer trust, and eligibility for AWS funding programs and co-selling opportunities. Let Development Hub be your trusted partner throughout the process. Book a session today. Building in the cloud? Make sure your environment is secure, high-performing, resilient, and efficient with the AWS Well-Architected Review. Designed for cloud architects and engineers, WAR helps you assess and improve your cloud infrastructure using 6 key pillars. Optimize workflows and automate processes for seamless cloud operations with operational excellence. Protect your data, systems, and assets while ensuring compliance. Build systems that can withstand failures and recover automatically. Select the right resources to maximize speed and efficiency. Eliminate unnecessary expenses and maximize cloud investment. Reduce environmental impact with responsible cloud practices. By leveraging WAR, You can identify and save 30 to 50% on AWS spend, right-size resources and implement best practices, leverage AWS funding programs for optimization, improve performance and scalability while reducing waste, enhance cost visibility and forecasting to prevent budget overruns. Ready to enhance your cloud environment? Book a session with Development Hub for expert assistance in navigating the AWS framework. Launching your app into the market shouldn't feel like flying blind, especially when there's Development Hub at your disposal. Introducing AWS Marketplace, your go-to-market accelerator built to help application owners scale, sell, and succeed. You probably wonder how this works. Well, think of AWS Marketplace as your runway to scale and Development Hub as your control tower. AWS Marketplace gives you access to millions of AWS customers and makes it easier to sell, deploy, and scale your cloud-based applications globally, faster than ever before. At Development Hub, we guide application owners like you through every step, from optimizing your product listing to navigating AWS terms and setting up seamless billing integration. The result? Faster go-to-market, increased visibility, and simplified procurement for your customers. Development Hub has helped many organizations meet their business digital enablement goals. Reach out to us for professional assistance in navigating the AWS marketplace. Launching a startup is like preparing a rocket for space. You've got the vision, the crew, and the mission. But without enough fuel, you're not getting off the ground. That fuel is cloud infrastructure, data storage, and AI capabilities. That's where Development Hub comes in, to assist you with the AWS funding and incentives opportunities, offering credits to cover services like storage, compute, and networking, plus technical support and training to keep your startup soaring. Development Hub, as an accredited AWS partner, simplifies the process. We help you apply, redeem credits, and unlock every benefit tailored for your growth and success. Let Development Hub be your cloud-powered co-pilot. Book a session with us, and let's get you started. They say if your application is up and running in the cloud, it must be good enough. But surviving is not the same as thriving, especially in the cloud, because without the right foundation, even the most brilliant cloud solutions can fall short, leaving you vulnerable, unstable, and overwhelmed. That's where Development Hub comes in, to help you build better in the cloud with the AWS Foundational Technical Review, a powerful framework designed to help you build secure, reliable, scalable, and market-ready solutions in the cloud. So how exactly does it work? FTR ensures your architecture aligns with AWS best practices across security, reliability, and operational excellence, making your product launch-ready and enterprise-trusted. Development Hub simplifies the FTR process for you. From gap analysis and architectural guidance to hands-on support, DevHub helps you clear every checkpoint with confidence through the three key pillars. The security pillar lets you safeguard your architecture with strong identity management, data protection, and threat detection. The reliability pillar lets you ensure your workloads recover quickly from failures and scale to meet demand, because downtime is not an option. Streamline operations with monitoring, automation, and continuous improvement, so your team works smarter, not harder, with the operational excellence pillar. By aligning with FTR, Development Hub helps you unlock faster time to market, better customer trust, and eligibility for AWS funding programs and co-selling opportunities. Let Development Hub be your trusted partner throughout the process. Book a session today.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. Happy Friday. We hope that you're all having a good morning and a good day, considering that this is the last day before the weekend starts. So, my name is Malisha Honora. Thank you very much for joining us. And we're very excited about today's session. And as you had seen in the post and everything, there's also quite a lot in store for you as as the audience. We also have an amazing, amazing, amazing prize that you can win at the end of our workshop series, which is our 5 workshops that we'll be having online over the next few months. Is that once you come onto the workshop series and you then participate and you obviously are able to gain the knowledge, you have an opportunity to win. You actually have a chance to win up to about just under 20,000 rands worth of cloud funding for your business. And you also will receive up to 40 hours of DevOps consulting based on your technology readiness level that you will receive from Development Hub. And that is a really, really great prize. And remember that what you can do is still contact us through info@developmenthub.co.za, and we will be able to obviously guide you through some of the options in terms of being able to work with us. And I'm very excited about the gentleman that I'm actually about to introduce to you. He is a very passionate cloud engineer, all things cloud. And digital transformation. That's really up his alley and up his avenue. He's got numerous years of experience within the environment, and he's also a certified individual through the AWS. He's got AWS certifications, even with the content that he will be sharing with you. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce and welcome our speaker for today, which is Mr. Eslem Dodana.
Right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much to the host for such a wonderful introduction. Yes, I really appreciate. As the host just said, I'm just going to be taking you guys through our presentation. This is going to be a very exciting journey. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. I'm very excited to be here. And I know you're going to get the most out of this session. I'm very confident. So I'm just going to start with the presentation without further ado. Okay. So let me just quickly begin with the introduction. So today we're talking about what's called the Foundational Technical Review, in short FTR. So what you're going to be going through basically is how to identify and remediate risk in your software with that FTR, which is Foundational Technical Review. So you don't want risk in your software, right? You have clients, you have your software, your workload in production, so you want no risk. So you're gonna going through like a few pillars that you have to take, how to identify those risks, and once you have those risks at hand, what is it that you do to make sure that your software is always up and running with no security risk, with no risk at all, right? So basically, I'm going to be taking you guys through that, right? So we're just going to be brief going through the introduction. What is it that is FTR? Like I've been saying, FTR, what is it, right? So let me just take you through on that. Then we go on to the security risk, the reliability, and all, right? But at the end, don't worry. If you miss something, I'm just going to give you a section whereby you can answer. You can ask your question, and I'll be available to answer your questions, right? So what is the purpose of FTR? That's number one, right? So if someone comes to you, let's say FTR Foundation, what is the purpose of it? What is it that you do with that FTR, right? Okay. So let's go through that one. So basically what FTR does, it ensures your workloads or your application, whether it's in production or it's in dev, right? It aligns with the industry best practices, right? So your clients, your customers, they need to access your application knowing that it's free of risk. Industry best practices, in whichever industry they say the threshold best practices, you need to be aligned with those for us to trust. So if you have a software that's not, I can't trust it. I'm sure you also cannot trust a software that say when you visit a website, it say it's not secure. You don't trust that. I won't trust that as well, right? So why is the FTR important? This is AWS FTR importance. Why is it important, right? So it helps you achieve the reviewed by AWS validation. So once you get that, we know Amazon Web Services. So you're being reviewed by the top solutionists. So you get that badge, and it also strengthens your go-to-market strategy. So when you are busy with your go-to-market strategy, okay, certified by AWS and it's credible, right? So we're going to be going through that as well, and it reduces the operational and security risk, which is what we're going to be going through as we go deeper into the session, right? So let's go on now to the actual purpose of the FTR, right? So why do we need to do the FTR? I've been saying reason that, but why do we actually have to do the FTR, right? So as I mentioned before, we can start with that one. So there are focus areas that make sure your workload meet the industry best practices, right? So you're gonna be focusing on these areas, which is your security, reliability, operational excellence, performance efficiency, right? And the one that we all love, which is cost optimization. I don't like paying. I'm sure you guys also don't like paying. So we're gonna be going through how can you optimize those costs, right? So, right, yeah, we're gonna go through in terms of how to identify those risks and provide in terms of the remediation steps. Let's say identify this risk, but you ask yourself, now we have this risk at hand. What are the steps that I need to take to make sure that I remove those risks, right? So whether your application is in production, is in development, but make sure by the time you go out there is absolutely zero risk in your software. I'm sure you love that. I love that in every application that I put out there. Make sure zero risk, right? 100% no risk. Ne? Okay, so it also enable you differentiation when it comes to AWS Marketplace, right? So you have your solution, whether it's software as a service or whatever kind of application you're putting there out on AWS Marketplace so that it can reach thousands and thousands of what you call customers or clients, right? So now you're gonna be different in AWS Marketplace because you're gonna be having this badge of FTR and reviewed by AWS, right? So now you are more credible in the marketplace against someone who didn't go through the FTR, right? So now let's start going through each and every of those focus areas, being security, reliability, operational excellence, performance efficiency, and also cost optimization. That one, I'm sure you guys love it because it's also my favorite. As I mentioned earlier, I don't like paying. Yes? Okay. Now let's start with the most critical one, and people don't actually like to look at this one but they know it's critical, right? So you guys also, when you're sleeping, you lock your houses, right? So you want to be secure, right? So why not do the same thing for your application? Do it for your clients, do it for your workloads, all of your workloads in your environment, right? So, we've been doing this thing, right? So, there are these common issues that we identify, right? So, one of those common issues can be hard coded credentials, right? So, you're building your application, you need access to a database, right? So, you have database username, database, what we call password. So, most people just put in those credentials within code, right? It's not best practice, because if someone can just look at your code, they will see those credentials and they can take and they can mess with your database, right? So we have an application that is in production. Your clients are busy engaging the application, and someone else intercepts those credentials. They can do whatever because now they have the keys. That is your username and your passwords, right? So that's one of the common risks. So another common risk would be public S3 buckets. So if you know in AWS, we have something called buckets, right? So basically a bucket is a bucket. Then within the bucket, you put in your objects, right? So you want to put in your pictures, you want to put in your videos, you want to, what do you call, host your website there, right? So making that bucket public is not a best practice, right? Because if it's public, meaning I can access, you can access, anyone in the entire universe can access your packet, and you don't want that, right? There's stuff that no, this is only for me, right? You always have, it's like you're safe basically. You don't want anyone accessing your safe, right? You know what's there, it needs to be seen by you, right? So there's data that you can put there that needs to be accessed by you and your application users, which can be your clients, whoever that's interacting with the application. They need to access it only if they are authorized to do so, right? And then we have another one which is very, very, very common, the one of insecure APIs. So you know, an API is like can call it application programming interface, right? So it's the one that interacts with your users. It's a gate where your clients or users interact. So if it's not secure, whoever that can intercept that traffic, they can see what are your users transmitting over that network, right? So that one needs to be secure, right? Yeah, it's very common. I don't know why people are not taking thoroughly look at that one. So these three are the common ones that we have identified through our path in the AWS industry and doing the what you call the foundational technical review. But now, just giving you guys problems, right? So, how do we solve? How do we remediate those problems? What is it that you can do to make sure that you remove this risk at all, right? Because I promised you guys that when you're going through this FTR, by the time you deploy application is risk free, right? So I can't just keep on giving you problems. How do we solve these problems, right? So for the first one, hard-coded credentials, right? So in AWS, there is something called identity and access management role, right? So it basically, you specify who can access your application at what time, right? And you also have something called secrets manager. As you can see the word secrets, right? So you manage your secrets there, right? So on your application code, you access those we spoke of database usernames and password, right? So if you can take those, put it on secret manager, they need to be your secret, right? So that only your application with the specific role, that is the IAM role, identity and access management role, right? So it's okay, this one can access. So if you notice, okay, there's something wrong, you can change those credentials on secret manager without touching your code at all, right? So that whoever managed to get access on these can no longer access now because you just simply change them on secrets manager. Those are your secrets there, right? So coming to the second one, where now you're safe basically, the S3 palettes, you have your pictures there, your birthday pictures, your vacation pictures. You only want to access them when you want to. So you need to implement policies there, right? Policies, you are in charge basically. You say this can access, right? So it's nice and safer that way, so that not everyone in the entire world can access your what you call your whatever information that's there. Whatever is put on this bucket, we call it objects in AWS, right? Coming to the third one, which is insecure APIs. So that you need to enforce authentication there or authorization, so that there's some data that's being transferred to that API of yours, which is application programming interface. they need to provide some sort of a key so that if it is consumed by someone who's not authorized, it's going to say, no, the key that you're giving to me is not the one that I'm expecting. Then it's not going to go through. So make sure only you or whoever you define, which is going to be mostly your application users or what you call clients, they only can access, right? So these were the common issues that we found on our journey since we started with the AWS and the foundational technical review, right? That was the security. There's a lot that people ignore, but these ones, they top the list, right? And now let's move on to reliability, right? So um, I'm going to start with you as a person. You want to be reliable, right? So if you say you're going to do something, you do it, right? So why don't you do the same for your software? Do it for your customers, right? You promise your what you call your customers that my application will be up, right? So your application being down should not be an option, right? Their data is always available. They need to access your application in every hour of the day, right? So also in this one, as we've been working on this FTR, so if I look at your workload, we've been identifying this, right? So we've identified the most common, right? There is a lot of stuff that people ignore, but there is the most common and very risky, right? So we've identified those, right? So no auto scaling, single point of failure, lack of backups, or data recovery, right? So no auto scaling means your application, if it's packed by a lot of users, it's gonna fail because it cannot maybe duplicate itself to accommodate 1,000 users. So it maybe, let's say, it can only accommodate 500 users an hour or second, right? So you need to be able now to say, okay, it needs to be smart in such a way that if I have 5 users at this very hour, let me accommodate these 5 users. But if I have 5,000 users, let me also accommodate these 5,000 users, any number of users. It's like an elastic band, right? So if you put it, it fits. If you put it no bigger hand, it fits, right? So that's what auto scaling means, like an application that's so smart that it accommodate any number of users or actions that are being performed against it, right? So remember, when it performs these actions, it's already secured, right? Because we touched on security previous one, right? And also we've identified a single point of failure, right? That is, if there's some issues with the application, right? So I'm just gonna make an example of load shedding, right? So let's say I have my application hosted somewhere, and then in that region where I host my application, there's load shedding, then the servers shut down. Then, so I had only that single point of my application. Now it's down. So what does that mean? My customers cannot, what do you call, access the application. Now I lose business, right? So people tend to ignore that. So we're gonna go through in how do you run away from that to make sure that it does not happen, right? Let's say maybe there's just a tsunami in wherever you're hosting your application, servers got washed away, So you need to have a way of how you're gonna deal with those type of situations, right? And then the third one, which is that one is very, very critical. People don't back up their stuff, right? So the data that you have for your clients, they trust you with your data, you have an agreement, they keep on putting data within your system, right? But now what happens when it happens you lose the data, right? People don't have backups, right? So it's like some sort of an insurance, I can say, right? So what happens if you lose your car? You are not insured. You're not going to have a car for the next until you buy another one, right? So you lose the data. You have a way, okay? You had this data, the exact same copy. So you keep on updating what you call, sorry, backupping your data, right? So now these are the problems, obviously. So you're probably asking yourself, now, man, why you keep on giving us problems? where are the solutions? Because at the end of the day, I'm a solutionist. I have to be providing you guys with solutions, right? So, in terms of auto scaling, how do you auto scale in AWS, right? So, you can make use of things called load balancers and auto scaling groups, right? So, in auto scaling, you have a copy of your server, right? So, it accommodates 1,000 users an hour, right? So auto scaling means now that we have 3,000 users, if this guy is alone, this server is alone, it's gonna fail, right? So auto scaling, okay, now I can accommodate 1,000 users. Let me make a copy so that I can accommodate these 3,000 users. Now again, these 2,000 users are gone. I only have 1,000 users. Let me remove the other two guys and be with this one, which can accommodate 1,000, right? So it allows that one. So it does it automatically. You don't have to go and look at, okay, I have this number of users. No, you don't have to go through that process, right? And the elastic load balancers, you know what they do. So it's just like I'm just gonna say the coffee shop, right? So there are tailors, right? One, two, three, right? So it's like they guide you, but in this case they guide traffic to where it's gonna be served immediately. If you go to the shop and see a long queues there, you always looking for the shorter one that I can get, I'm sure, right? So that's what it does. So it takes you your traffic to the shorter queue so that it can be served in less time, right? So now coming to the one of single point of failure, right? How do we solve that one so that if there's a tsunami in that region, you're hosting your website, how do we make sure our application is still up and running? Remember, we're talking about reliability here, just being reliable. It's always nice when it comes to human nature dealing with someone who's reliable. No, Ezra said he's going to do this. I'm confident that guy's going to do it, right? So make the same thing for your software, for your workload, for your clients. You promise your clients the application is always going to be up, right? So now in this case, you need to distribute your workloads across different availability zones, right? So in AWS, there are regions, then within regions, we have zones, right? So we have zone here, zone there. Let's say maybe can, like they are far from one another so that if there is a natural disaster happening in zone one, we have a backup in zone two, right? Making sure your application is always up and running. Again, reliable, right? So now you also have to always define your recovery time objectives. So if your software is down, like how long can it be down? You don't want your software or your application to be down for an hour. That's too much. Even if your application is down for 5 minutes, that's too much. You are losing business there. So your clients are gonna say, nah, this guy is not reliable. And there's always someone who can do what you can do, right? But you need to you have to do it better, 10 times better, to make sure that your clients are always happy. They don't go around looking for other solution while you are there providing the solution, right? So define recovery time objectives and also recovery point objectives, right? So once this happens, I can't uh, be offline for 10 minutes. I'm losing business, right? So this thing you need to define prior taking your what do you call your workload, your application to production. Right. So now lastly, for the lack of backups, you need to always use backups. I'm sure also on your devices, whether your phone or your machine, computer, you have backups. In my case, if you speak about, okay, my photos, they are on what you call on my local device. I can go through the gallery, scroll there. But now, what if I lose that phone, right? So I need to use the cloud backup, any cloud of your choice, so that once you take photos, they sync with the cloud. So you lose your phone, okay, it's short, you get another one. But those photos, they are not insured with the phone. Now, once you get the new phone, you're just pulling now from the cloud. That's what it means in terms of using backups, always backups, keeping your clients, customers happy, right? At the end of the day, that's why you have, most of the time, that's why you have an application or workload in production. You have customers that are using it, or maybe it's for yourself, right? But you don't want to lose data. I don't want to lose data, right? No one wants to lose anything, right? It's losing is not very nice. It's not nice at all, right? Okay, that was it for the reliability. I hope you guys are also reliable people that I know, right? Okay, now let's move on to the next section because I promised you some more sections. Don't worry, we're gonna get to the one that you love, that I love also, right? So this one is operational excellence, right? So whatever that you do, you want to be excellent, right? We can do the same thing, but if you want to win, be excellent in whatever that you do, right? Now, why don't you do the same for your software or your workload? There are other softwares that do exactly what you do, but why do you have so much, I can say, clients or customers? You know why? Because you're excellent at what you do. Make your software that excellent so that no one can ignore it, right? Okay, so operational excellence basically mean make sure your application is always operating at a higher level, right? If it's operating at this level, now I won't buy, I won't use it, but make sure it's per top level. Excellent. So we've identified those risks also, and what solution can be done, right? Because if you have a problem, you have a solution, right? Sometimes you might not know what solution you can what you call implement, but the solution is always there. But here we did sit down, look at this thing. I say this is the solution for this. This is the solution for this. So one of the problems is no CI/CD pipelines. The CI being continuous integration or continuous deployment pipelines, right? So in software, we have these, I'm just going to say repository, where we write code, we put there, we write code, we put there, right? So you need to have these pipelines. So if you don't have these pipelines, right? So you're just going to put your code, then you need to now go again, deploy the code so that your customers can have the recent or latest updates, right? But sometimes you just want to write code, put it there, right? Then go into something else, write another code because you want to write code always giving your customers the latest what you call features or updates so that they're always happy that you are prioritizing them, right? So we're gonna get to how do we deal with these situations where there is no continuous integration or continuous deployment, right? Then inadequate logging and monitoring, right? So if you have no logs on your application or your workload, you have no logs at all, right? So it's less likely for you to know when there's a problem, what happened? You're gonna start again. Oh, you're gonna now try to reproduce the problems. But you find out that at that time you did not produce the problem in the initial phase. Clients produced their problems. They were trying to do something and it was not a success. Now you have a headache, like, oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? You need to trace, okay, the steps, okay, they went through, and this happens. Then you just go straight to that point and diagnose, right? We're gonna provide a solution in terms of what do we do in the case whereby these are not what you call available, right? And also the last one, manual infrastructure provisioning. People, they like doing stuff manual. Why there's automation? I mean, like it's 2025. There's a lot of automation that's there, right? Use it, right? Gonna provide solution for like there's a lot of automation in our lifetime, and I like it. You guys like it, I'm sure. Yes, no, maybe. Right now, let's go to the solution. What do you need to do if you don't have these pipelines, CI/CD pipeline, that is continuous deployment, right? So you need to implement pipelines using code pipeline or code build. We have these tools on AWS. So the AWS guys are very smart. They sat down, they thought about all the problems that we can go through, right? Okay, so for this, you can use that. For this, you can use that. For this, you can use that, right? So there's something called code pipeline or code build. I write code for this feature. Let me just put it there, right? Then code pipeline or code build is gonna take care of the rest. They're gonna build, package the code, then deploy, right? Deploy meaning you take the latest features, make it available to your clients or customers, right? That's what you just need to do. Code pipeline is there. You just have to put in stuff together, right? Ingredients that you just put it together, you bake, right? Um, for the logging and the monitoring, these guys thought about this thing and they built something around it, which is called AWS CloudWatch. As you can see from the from the word itself, it's CloudWatch. So because we're working on the cloud, it's watching your cloud. It's like it's overlooking everything and it writes down whatever that's happening. There's a failure in someone was trying to log in, they use the correct credentials, right? But there's a failure, right? CloudWatch is going to write that down. I say, okay, there's a failure, right? So that by the time you go check, you don't have to trace again. There's something there that's okay. There was a failure at this hour, this minute, this second, this millisecond. Every detail is there. When you just go and what you call fix that thing, right? There's also AWS config, like it's basically a configuration. You say, okay, what needs to happen when there's a failure? You define so that you're always aware of the problems your customers or clients are experiencing in your production workload, right? So now comes to the manual provisioning. People like this one. Like, why do you want to do stuff manually? Like, why? Imagine if you were to wake up. When you wake up, you just there's a train just taking you to your shower, and water just comes, right? And some machine is putting you clothes on, breakfast. We're getting there. But now, so there's an option of automating that provisioning. So provisioning meaning you are having your server on AWS, you're having your database, you're having your S3 buckets. Remember, I was talking about S3 buckets, right? So there is something called cloud formation, which you can group it in the term infrastructure as code, right? So whatever that stuff you're gonna do manually, provisioning yourself a database, you provision yourself with what's called EC2 instances or S3 buckets, right? Cloud formation can just do that for you in few minutes or seconds, right? Depending on the number of resources that you're provisioning. But when you're doing it manually, you're gonna take more time, right? You take more time, you're not excellent at what you do, right? You're gonna take 2 hours to provision. I'm gonna take 5 minutes, right? Can you see now who operates at we operate at different calibers, right? Be excellent at what you do and make sure your software or application is always excellent for your customers as well, because you have probably have business with your customers. That's why now you provided them with an application or software. Make sure it's always excellent at all times. Yes, there are many other issues, but these ones we identify to be the most common through our clients and people we engage with. Right. So now let's move on to another pillar, which is performance efficiency. Right. This one I like. So being efficient and like whatever, don't just do it, overdo it, right? Do it 10 times. Because again, whatever that you do, someone else is doing and they're trying to catch up, right? But be efficient to a point that even if they catch up, they won't make it. You're just gonna be the only one, right? The only one that all customers in the industry will come to you, like because you're efficient, you don't care. They can come. Your software is gonna continue to be efficient, right? So also you've identified the most common issues, right? So one of them being like what you call over or under provisioned resources. Like right, it's not so you over provision. So remember, AWS has something called pay as you use. If you provision more resources than you're gonna use, you're probably gonna pay more, right? I don't want to pay more. You don't want to pay more, right? So you need to take a look at that, but you're gonna provide some what you call some remediations as well as we've been doing throughout the session, right? So if you're now under provision, right? So you're giving yourself less resources than you need, then that means you're gonna have a problem. Your clients or customers, when they access your application, sometimes gonna be like failures. They try to log in, they can't log in. They try to do the daily task from the application. They can't do it because you have less resources than you need. Guess what's likely to happen? You're gonna lose business, and you don't want that, right? So always have a look at that. But I'm here for that. I'm gonna provide solution. That's my job. I want you guys to be always happy at all times, eh? Okay. Another one is inefficient database queries, right? So imagine now you are logging in on an application. You put in your username, you put in your password. Then you wait for the next 30 seconds. It's trying to log in. How? That's not good. It's not efficient. It does not perform because now your database is not efficient. It goes through like it takes time to identify. Okay, this person is authorized. They can just log in. But if I'm gonna have to wait 30 seconds, no, let's part ways. I'm gonna look for another application, right? Doesn't matter what the application does, but if it takes me that number of seconds, like remember, the application will be do stuff in a split second, right? That's how fast it needs to be. But now this over and under provisioning of resources and inefficient database queries, how do we solve that? Right? I don't want to give you problems only. I'm going to tell you about problems and I'm also going to provide solutions. Right? Okay. So in AWS, there's something called Compute Optimizer. As you can see here or hear from the word optimizer. So what it does, it look at your resources and the track record. How are you using these, right? So now it's gonna say, okay, you use this much, right? Or you use this between 8 and 12, right? So why not shut it down after 12, right? So it's gonna provide recommendations, right? So you took that it's in, okay, no, we are using this too much, right? So use this size. So it's like you I don't know, but it gives you like the best recommendation in terms of okay, a day I drink what do you call 5 liters of water, right? It tracks that every day. But when I go out, I just take 20 liters of water. And then when I come back, I only use 5 liters as normal. So it's gonna recommend to me, no man, you just need only 5 liters. Don't overload yourself with that 20 liters of water. Eh? So that what it does. It's there to monitor your applications, like the whole of your workloads, so that it can optimize your resource provisioning. So whether you're under resource or you over provision your resource, it gives you the recommendations based on how you use, right? So that you can remain efficient at all times, right? So inefficient database queries, you need to optimize your schema and indexing, right? So that you don't take 5 seconds to go through your database and find something. Use indexing, which is gonna make it quick, right? So I made an example of logging in. It doesn't have to take 30 seconds for me to log in. No, that's too much, right? Someone else is gonna do it in 1 second, right? You can see the difference between 1 and 30 seconds. So these guys that do it in 1 second, they are very efficient and they perform. So for you to move from 30 seconds close to 1 second, you need to optimize your schema, database schema, and indexing, right? And you can use what is called caching with AWS service again, Elastic Cache. These guys that they just sit down like, no, you're gonna need this, gonna need this, gonna need this, which is good. So we just get there, we use. Caching is basically there's information that's static, like in terms of pictures. A picture is less likely to change maybe on a website. That picture is gonna be there, right? So it's not dynamic information. You can just put it in a cache so that when you're accessing it, doesn't go again and fetch from a database or fetch from AWS S3, right? So just okay, you want this picture, it's already here, right? You don't have to go look around. I know it's yours, take it, right? That's what caching is, right? You can use caching as well to make sure like your application efficient, less latency, right? Okay, that was it for this performance efficiency. And we need to quickly move on to the next one. The next one, which is my favorite, your guys' favorite, cost optimization. All right. So obviously, when you are provisioning resources on AWS, these resources have pricing. You have to pay for what you use. But what's nice about AWS, you pay for what you use, right? I can pay for a bigger house, right? But I'm using only this this small portion, right? So AWS monitors your usage because it's this what you call. Then they give you what you want and you pay for it. If you use it for 5 hours, you're gonna pay for 5 hours. And if I use it for 10 hours, I'm gonna pay for 10 hours. It wouldn't be fair if you pay for 10 hours, but your usage is only 5 hours. No, that's not fair, right? So AWS paying method is pay as you use, right? So now, what's entailed in this cost optimization, right? So one of the problems, that's the most biggest problem, this one is unused resources. Someone can just provision a resources and they leave it there, right? Imagine like it's not used. Why do you have it, right? So you're blocking space for other people that might want to use that resource, right? So we're gonna get in terms how to know when a resource is not used, because you're a person at the end of the day. You can forget that you provisioned that resource and you no longer use it. At some point you provisioned, then you use it, then at some point in time you no longer use it. So we're gonna get into how do you know, right? How can you always know? Okay, I use this, I use this, but I don't use this one. Take it out, right? And inefficient storage classes. So storage classes mostly in AWS S3. We've been speaking about S3. That's most of the nice services to use. So where you can put in your images, right? Let's say I want to put in images or data that I want to access in the next 5 years, right? So you need to know your storage class that you need to select, right? Because there are different storage classes. If it's information that you access almost every day, you choose a different class. If it's information that you access maybe once in 3 months, choose a storage service. And you're gonna be billed based on these services. Use it every day, then that means you're busy, right? Use it once in 6 months. Let's be, you can gonna pay less. But use it once in 10 years, you're probably gonna pay very, very much less. So based on your usage, you need to identify the correct what you call storage classes, right? Because if you use a class that you're not supposed to be using based on your usage, you're probably gonna be built for most likely to be built more where you can reduce what you call your bill, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to get money, you want to save, you don't want to pay, right? Okay, so now how do we get around these what you call issues, right? So in AWS, there's something called trusted advisor in budgets, right? So by budgeting, okay, this I want to spend maybe 500 rands, right? So let me tell AWS that by the time this money gets to 400 rands, they need to send me an email. They say, no, you are in 400 rands now. So you are almost approaching your target. So like for the whole month, I want to spend 500 rands on AWS services, right? On 500, you guys tell me so that I see what I do, right? And also trusted advisor checks. Trusted advisor, that guy, as you can see, the most trusted, right? It's gonna give you the best advice, right? For your services, it's gonna help you to plan your course, right? But no, this you're not using, right? Why is it still there? Because it costs this much on your bill. This you are not using. Why do we have it, right? Yeah, so you need to utilize these resources, budget alerts and trusted advisor checks. Like go on trusted advisor, it's gonna be much detailed. Service one, two, three, four, five, you're not using, but you pay for these services at the end of the month, right? Not because you're using them, but you provisioned them, right? Okay. When it comes to inefficient storage classes, you can use what's called S3 lifecycle policies, right? So S3 is basically storage service. We've been talking about it throughout the session. So basically, lifecycle policies say, okay, so if I put in this image on S3, right, I'm gonna use it, but no, after 3 months, put it on another storage class, right? So you identify in terms of how your application is structured and how often you need what we call these images. If you can make an example, right? So you just transition to storage based on your policy that you set yourself. When it comes to policies, you are in charge. You define what's happening at what time, right? Then another remediation will be right size instances. So we have what's called an EC2 instance in AWS, right? Let's say your application only needs, I'm just gonna make numbers, size, let's say we have size one, size two, size three, size four, size five. Your application only requires size three of that instance, right? But you provision size five. No, that is not good. You're gonna pay more because you provision now a bigger resource while you have an option of provisioning what the right size of your application because you know your application needs, you know the user that you have. But there are a lot of AWS services that can give you that information. If you go to trusted advisor, they tell you do this, do this, do this, do this, right? So all this leads towards in terms of you know that okay, I don't use this, let me not pay it. Not that you're just gonna decide not to pay it, but you're gonna set budgets, trusted advisor, tell them no, remove this, you do not need it. Storage classes, transition in between storage classes based on your application needs, right? And that's it for all our favorite section, which is cost optimization. But now we've been talking about security, reliability, operational excellence, performance efficiency, cost optimization. But how do we start that? How do we start the process of foundational technical review? What is it that we need to do? You were probably asking that now this guy's been talking since the last few minutes, but how can I do that? Right? How it's always nice, like do this, but the most important question is how, right? So now let's get into the how, right? Just an overview. So the how entails so you request an FTR through AWS Partner Central, right? So AWS has this central where all partners are there, right? You just go there, request FTR, right? So we are already in AWS Partner Development Hub. So we request that FTR for your solution or your application or workload, right? Obviously, you have to engage with AWS Partner Solutions Architect. Yes, so Solutions Architect, someone which is me, that I'm there just to provide solutions to you, right? I'm not, I don't like problems, right? For myself, for you, let me just give you solutions, right? Come a solution architect. That sounds nice, eh? So you need there's documentation that you need to submit also. like what does your solution do, so that it's gonna give whoever's reviewing your solution. So okay, this is what's happening. This, then they look right. Okay, this can help in terms of security. This can help in terms of reliability. This can help in terms of efficiency, operational excellence. This can optimize their costs as well, right? So now at the end, you receive feedback and remediation guidance. You know what's nice about the remediation guidance? It's basically just a list of checkboxes. Do this, do this, do this, do this. Like very simplified. You don't have to go to no like simplicity, right? We all like simple stuff. No one wants to work hard. Don't say don't work hard, work smart. Simplify it, just simplify it, right? So the guidance that remediation guidance that will give it back to you, just do this, do this, do this. Then okay, once you're done with this, oh no, everything's fine. Just your application is secure, it's now reliable, it's excellent in terms of operation, it's very efficient, right? And you optimize costs at the end of the day, right? You like that. Okay, that's basically the process in a nutshell, right? So, yes, what are the tools that you can use in throughout this FTR process? Because okay, you say, let's go to town, buy the no. How do I get to town? Right? So now I have to provide with the tools. Do I provide you with an aeroplane? Do I provide you with a buggy? Right? Give me something that I can get to town as quick as I can. Then start with the FTR. Right? Okay. These are some of the tools that you can use. It's AWS well architected tool, right? So well architected, right? Sounds very nice, and it is nice to use it. So well architected means there's a tool that goes through your workload, right? It's okay. No, here you can do this, here you can do this, here you can do this, right? To make sure your AWS environment or workload is well architected, right? So even when you're about to build a house, you need an architect. Someone's gonna draw this. They specify each and every angle, each and every room, how the dimensions, everything, right? So that's what it does, right? But it can come like your room. Okay, do this, change there, change there, change there, right? It just goes to scan, like basically scanning. Then it gives feedback and you implement, right? And there's something called security hub. You can say it's a hub, say security that deals only the security of your application or your workload. It doesn't focus on all the other stuff. Say, no, man, I want your solution or your application to be the most secure in town, right? So you can just talk that what you call service in AWS, right? As a tool that you need to keep in mind, right? Security is the first one. We all want to be safe during the day, during the night. Do that for your application. Make use of AWS Security Hub. All right. And to go mention this guy again. This guy is very important. AWS Trusted Advisor. The best advice in town, right? You have a lawyer, you have an financial advisor. You need the best in town. But when it comes to AWS, you can only trust that guy. It's been proven. I've seen it myself, right? So AWS Trusted Advisor, let's just give you the best advice, especially when it comes to cost optimization. It does a very great job, right? And then AWS prescriptive guidance, obviously. So solution architects are gonna guide you in terms of, okay, no, do this, don't worry. Someone's gonna guide you in terms of just a checkbox exercise, right? Do this, do this, do this. And that guarantees you a very well architected tool, FTR verified solution, right? You also want a badge next to your name. So this solution application is AWS reviewed, FTR approved. So that's nice. So that when you get to the marketplace, you just unique from everyone there. So that whoever is looking for that kind of application, whether it's SaaS application or whatever, they can, oh, these guys, they did the best in terms of security. They have the best solution in town, right? So yeah, these are some of the tools that you can use. There are other tools, but these ones top the list of tools that you can use. Right. Now we just reached the end of the presentation. Oh, okay. Thank you guys for listening through. Like, really enjoyed presenting this to you, and I know you got something, got the best out of this presentation. So now I'm just gonna be on standby for a question, but I'm just gonna take it back to what you call okay, right? So I'm just gonna give back to her. Shoni, please come over.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was super, super exciting. And I'm sure you've all gained some really valuable insight. And we're still very excited to remind you about the competition that we have that is running throughout the podcast series, throughout our workshop series, is that you stand in line if you obviously attend and participate, asking questions, and pretty much engage with us, is that you have an opportunity to then win the almost up to 20,000 worth of AWS credits, as well as the 40 hours of Dev Hub solutions that you'll be able to get and have. And we look really, really forward to having you on our next one, as well as that. As I said, you'll have up to 40 hours of DevOps consulting based on your technology readiness level. And again, like I said, is that up to almost 20,000 of cloud funding that you'll be able to use through the AWS platform. And we look forward to engaging with you for any queries, any questions. Remember, you can contact us at info@developmenthub.co.za or on 08222534. We look forward to engaging with you. And also, remember, we'll still be ready to engage with you on all our social media platforms. So you can find us on LinkedIn, you can find us on Facebook, you can also find a lot of our material that we will be sending through to you on YouTube, and you can also find us on TikTok. Thank you very much, and we will see you. Are there any questions? Let's just see if there's any questions that we can take you through. Okay, so there's a few questions. Do you want to come through this side? Cool. So we've got a comment here. Bongiwe has said to us, Bongiwe Lucas, reliability is such a key pillar. She's curious to hear how others are tackling failover and redundancy in their AWS setups. And then also we've got a comment from the Swego network. They're saying thank you for great info, especially on cost optimization and security. And we've also got another question where Uspenati has asked us, thank you for such an insightful presentation. And they've just asked, please explain again how to reduce costs when we're using Amazon EC2 instances. So do you want to come through to that?
All right. Thank you for the questions, guys. And but you can reach out to Development Hub. We have an email there because the schedule time is just gonna, I think it's gonna run out now. You can just reach out to us. Thank you for the engagement, guys. I really enjoyed presenting to you. Just gonna take a quick one. Say, I didn't think security could be that. It's very critical. This Lego network security very critical. But this was just there's a lot of detail that you can go through. You can always just reach out to DevHub, our email. We're just gonna write our email on the chat right there, and you could also just check out on our website. All right, and who else do we have there? Luyanda Ndebele is thanking us, and you have Sharp Mr. Luyanda Ndebele, sir. And then we have Spenat Inwele. Thank you for such an insightful presentation. Please explain again how to reduce costs when using Amazon EC2 instances. Yes, so when it comes to EC2, you always to make sure that you right size your instance. You don't put a bigger instance while your application requires this size of instance, right? Right sizing so that you pay for only that much that you are using, right? So, who else we have there? Who else we have there? Oh, it sounds like thank you very much. This was very insightful. Thanks for a great presentation, very informative that comes from Henry Dupree. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for such engagement. I really appreciate, and I'm very excited. I'm hoping to see you guys on the next one, right? So you can reach out to DevHub for further questions. You can reach out to our business representative there. We have the email in the chat. You can just copy and paste on your mail. Just send it. You can even send a blank email. Don't worry. We'll reach out to you. That's what we do. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers. See you on the next one.